Well, good evening and welcome to the podcast. I'm really glad you're here, and we have another fun-filled evening of snowmobile history and memories with our good friends Midge Rosebrook and Rob Hilditch. How are you gentlemen doing tonight?
Doing well.
Doing good, Mike.
Doing
Nice
well.
to see everybody. And I have to say, it's a treat for the two of you to finally meet. I know that we've been doing all these messaging back and forth with videos, and you're finally able to meet in person tonight, at least virtually.
Yeah. No, I enjoy you guys. As you know, and Rob could not be a better fit for this podcast.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Couldn't ask a better co-host.
Yeah. No, that's right.
And we have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Well, cool.
And, I have to thank him too on while we're online here about my nice hoodie that he gave us
screen.
Glad I picked the right size.
Yeah.
Oh, it fits perfect. And like I was telling Mike and Rob, I wore that up to Pittsburgh at Ray Lacaste's vintage show last year. Yep, there it is.
I even got myself one.
We should hold them all up at the same time to make a statement here.
Yeah,
there we go.
We would have worn them tonight, but because we're in the house, so it'd been a little warm. But that I was perfectly comfortable the whole day up there wearing that. So
good.
And it gave your Amsoil pretty good press because there was quite a few people up there to see that. So
thank you.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Well, cool. So
I wear that for best.
Yes. Instead of Sunday go to meet and best, that's Saturday go to vintage snowmobile best.
That's right. Right.
Yes.
When we go to a show, we go with that.
Nice. Now we've got comments coming in. We've got Rich Shad, our mutual friend, saying good evening, gentlemen. Nice to see you, Rich. Alan Gove, regular viewers in the house. Nice to see you, Alan. Hope you're doing well. We're going to have him as a guest on the podcast in the very near future. We're trying to figure out exactly the when of it, but he's going to be coming on here in the very near future.
What's his specialties?
He has got, I think he's a cat guy. Tell us, Alan, if you would, because I'm drawing a blank, but he's got a nice collection, and he's got a lot of images and video clips that he shared with me. So we'll be doing some show and tell, both with videos and images, plus some live show and tell of his collection. And we also have John Spranger Jr. in the house. My good friend says good evening from No Snow, Wisconsin. 50 degrees in Wisconsin right now. That is crazy.
Wow.
Our good friend James Whiteside says, hi, guys. No snow. Joe here. Winter is over. Yeah. And it's going to be
I got a snowcross race in Wisconsin to do it April 2nd.
Ooh, good luck with that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
And then our good friend Ben Thomas says, good evening, fellas. Sounding good in Carterville, New York. Our good friend Glenn Ford is here, regular viewer from Vernon Center, New York. Jeffrey Patton says, good evening to Mike, Rob, and Midge. Tim Bewick says, hey, guys, from Marlboro, New York. I thought I was right. Alan Gove says he's into Articats. I thought that's what I remembered.
Yeah.
Cool deal. Our good friend Jim Holbrook from Vermont, regular viewer. Nice to see you. And Kevin Culhane, next week's guest. If you're around Thursday evening, 9 p.m., join us, and we'll be hanging out with Kevin Culhane. He's got images and videos he sent me, and we're going to do some live show and tell of his collection, live right there from his property, which will be fun. And then one other comment, where the hell is the snow? Exactly. Oh, and then one other comment was snow on Ski Hill in Lake Geneva. Cool. I wonder if they'd let you take a sled up there. Excellent. Well, yeah, thank you, everyone, for saying hi. We really appreciate that. It's nice that we've got a full house for this tonight. And let's get right into it. We've got a video clip. Pardon me. This is item number 1. There's an interview I did a few years ago with Paul Crane over at Crane's Snowmobile Museum in Lancaster, New Hampshire. Let me cue that up. And so just take a moment here. And here it is.
Yeah. My name is Paul Crane, and this is Crane Snowmobile Museum. And I started collecting, you might as well say, in 1961 machines. I've had most of these over 40 years. And I got started with Timberland machines selling logging equipment for Bombardier. which Timberland Machines was the distributor for Bombardier. And in '58, Armin Bombardier called my boss up, Bob Bottoms, and said they had a new product they want us to look at to sell. We went up to Valcourt. It was a Skidoo similar to the 60 and 61, but it was the wooden side frames and everything, steel with wood sides. And it was a prototype, and I rode that down down the Main Street, which was in Valcourt, which was all gravel at the time.
Wow.
And that's how I got started. Then we came back and we tried selling them. And we only brought one into the States in December 5th of 1959. And it was a serial number 60-22.
Wow.
Which is the first one in the United States. And I rode that all over the place here. And of course the skis broke because they were made out of wood.
Oh, wow.
And later down the road, they came out with the 61, and that had some wooden skis too, same style, with a 7-horse coal on it. And up in Canada, they had at first they had the J-Lo motor on it. And but down here, we put Kohler motors on the machines. The motors were shipped from Wisconsin, and we put the Kohler motors on the Skidoos, which were 61 Skidoos. And we Timberland sold them
Nice.
to the dealers.
But that was a popular item in these parts.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Good.
The first time we had the 61s riding in this field here beside us, these people would stop in the cars just to look because they'd never seen anything like that.
I'll bet.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. That would stop traffic, I bet.
I sold one of them to one of my friends, which was a trapper at the time. We went way up in the Phillipsbrook and the Colebrook area and everything, and nobody look at the tracks and what the devil's that. Nobody is up there unless you snowshoe.
Sure. And see the tracks on the ground.
Yeah,
That's wild.
yeah. So
Good.
it's been interesting
I'll bet.
for a lifetime.
Yeah, you get in just at the right time.
Right.
You experience the whole
Yeah. So,
the whole episode, the whole ride of it.
right.
Good. Yeah, you're a friend of mine, Midge.
Yeah,
Paul
yeah.
Crane.
Known
And
Paul since well, boy, I've known him for 60, 65 years, ever since I was a kid.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and if you look at that way behind him there, that Polaris sign on the wall, that's my uncle Dick Monahan's Polaris sign. It says Monahan's Golf underneath.
Monahan's Golf on the bottom of there. Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's amazing.
yeah.
And then if anyone is not anyone who's a regular viewer of this podcast, Paul Crane is a familiar face to you. But in case you're just joining us on all of this, Paul is the first American to ride a Ski-Doo snowmobile in the U.S. or Canada. And he was involved in importing the first Ski-Doo snowmobiles into the U.S. He set up some of the first Ski-Doo snowmobile dealers in the U.S. He was in on the very ground floor. Anything you want to add to that, Midge? Or?
Yeah, well, he mentioned putting the Kohler engines on the machines. The reason they did that is because there was if they shipped Kohler engines from Wisconsin to Canada and then brought them back down again with the engines mounted on the sleds, they put a tariff on it for whatever reason. So Bob Bottoms, the store manager, Paul was his first employee. Bob Bottoms got a hold of Kohler out in Wisconsin and asked them if he could buy the engines directly from them. And then he got a hold of Bombardier and asked him if he could just ship his chassis down without engines. So that's how he was able to lower the price on the sleds.
Nice. Avoid that whole tariff.
Yeah. And so all I had to do was just mount the engines on the chassis. And I think they dropped it a couple hundred or $150. So
Nice.
yeah.
Mike, you ever thought about sending that video to the Bombardier Museum?
That's not a bad idea.
They probably don't even know that story.
I don't know. Do they, Midge? You know anything about that?
The new bunch up there they probably don't. No, they probably don't.
Wow.
Know about that, buying the engine separately. And yeah, Bottoms was always, he was a marketing genius. And he realized the potential recreational aspect of that skidoo the minute he saw it. He knew it was going to be a recreational bonanza.
Yeah.
And he just wanted to drop the price, because I think the original sled that came down in '59 was like a $900 price tag.
Yeah, that's a few bucks back then.
You could buy new pickups back then for that.
Yeah.
So anything to drop the price. And he got a few out on the snow, and it was all over. It was just, he just couldn't order enough of them.
Nice. And it's true. I think once someone rides one, there's no turning back,
There's no turning back.
Yeah.
Well, just if you just rode on the back of one, I got to have that.
Yes.
I got to have one of these.
What's the first year you bought one, Mitch?
I never did purchase any. How I came about was because I used to ride on the back of a lot of these early skidoos because my friends had them. So they used to give us rides. But when my uncle Dick Monahan took Polaris on in 1966, he let me drive the demonstrator, which was a 13-horse Colt, 1967 Colt. And, if anybody came in and wanted to try out a sled, that was the sled that they tried. And so he just let me use the demonstrator. And that's basically how it was all the way through. After I got out of high school in '69, he put me in as a service manager on them. And so of course I had to test them all. And he always had a demonstrator, and usually it was like a TX or something like that. So I basically was able to I never owned one. And then when I retired from the Ford garage in 2016, they gave me that 77 440 TX as a going away gift, as a retirement gift.
Nice.
So yeah. And
They
then
must have really liked you.
Well, they're of course, there's like family down there. It's a small town, 3,500 people. I've known the Kopp family. I can remember when their parents dated.
Wow.
Mike and Keith Kopp that own the Ford store now down there, North Country Ford. I can remember when the dad and mom actually dated. So,
Wow.
it's they're just great people. And they
Yeah.
treat the employees about as good as you would a family member, really. So yeah, they gave me that sled, and then I turned it into a PDC. Mike can I don't know if Mike's got a photo of that or not, but
I do. I'm hunting that up right now. In fact, in a matter of seconds, I'm going to have that on the screen. Where the heck is that? Here it is. It's coming up here. Drum roll, please. Just waiting for it to load.
There it is.
Right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, and that's 2 years ago. Pittsburgh ride, the vintage ride up in Pittsburgh.
That's back when we used to have snow.
Yeah.
When they used to have snow, and I didn't make it last year. It just turned out I just couldn't make it. But then this year, who knows? In 2 weeks, I don't know if we're going to have snow enough up there to do it. So
Yeah, it's supposed to start warming up.
I had a lot of fun. That's good sled.
Sure.
And,
Well, cool. So we're on item number 2. A couple of years ago, Midge and I got together and we took a lot of historic images that he had, and we went to some local places where the images were taken. And many of them, of course, were taken at the Lancaster Motel. In fact, this one was taken upstairs at the Lancaster Motel, and we're actually holding the image up in this video clip you're going to see right where the image was taken. And we don't discuss that in the clip, but that's what was going on. That was the whole reason we were upstairs there. But and of course, locating that image, I changed all my settings here. It's going to take a moment to sorry, bear with me here. I had everything all queued up, and then finding that image through everything.
yeah, that threw you off. I'm sorry, Mike.
No, it was worth it. And I'm back where I need to be, and I'm playing the clip right now. Let's take a look.
Yeah. All right. These people were all snowdrifters back during the day, and couple dozen probably, of the snowdrifters were the ones that put on the Grand Prix every year. And this conference room upstairs over the lobby of the motel is where they met. So they had meetings just about all through the year to put on a 2-day race in the first weekend of February every year. Back then, volunteerism was huge. You don't get that today. These people were probably in their 30s, mid-30s maybe, some of them maybe 20s, but most mid-30s. Well, when we put on the Grand Prix in 2014, most of us were in our late 50s, mid-60s. Some of us were in our 70s. Paul Crane, I think, was like 75 when we put on our first Grand Prix. So that's the difference of the today's generation versus the yesterday's generation, and the reason why you don't see a Grand Prix anymore. These are the people that got it done. Yeah.
There you have it. And while we're upstairs at the Lancaster Motel, we have to give them a shout out. Our dear friends at the Lancaster Motel, they've been ground zero for so many things to do with the snowmobile since it began in the late 50s. Yeah. Anything you want to add to that, Midge, or about the Lancaster Motel?
Yeah. Well, and of course the original building that housed Timberland machines is maybe 100 feet behind the Lancaster Motel.
Yes, and we'll be
they
looking at
were
that
kind
later
of brought up together,
yes,
so to speak. Yeah, they were hauling brand new skidoos back in 1960, 61, 62, past the motel.
Yes,
right. Yeah, to get down to where the original store was.
Yeah, and when they had the Grand Prix, the award ceremony was right there in the lobby of the Lancaster Motel. In fact, here's Jill Villeneuve getting an award in the lobby of the Lancaster Motel.
Yeah,
they were ground zero.
And that counter behind them is still there.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Isn't that something? The place is it's a time warp. If you go into the Lancaster Motel, the Berrymans have done such a tremendous job to get the right kind of furniture to fit that mid-century look.
That retro vibe.
It's an absolute treat to go into something like that, and it takes you back. I mean, if a lot of us were brought up in the 50s, we were kids back then, so it's like stepping back into time.
Yes. And the nice thing too is the current owners, like you said, the Berrymans, they're very supportive of snowmobiling now. They understand and appreciate that history that's associated with the snowmobile, and they've done a lot to help you and I in our video projects, and they do a lot to support the podcast. And the reason I bring this up is that if anyone viewing this is passing through central New Hampshire, stop by and have a drink in the bar or a cigar in their cigar lounge, or if you're going to be spending the night, it's a great place to spend the night. And there's just so much history associated with it. It's just a few steps from Crane Snowmobile Museum. That because they do so much to help us, we like to encourage others to patronize them, kind of completing the circle, if you will.
And some of the biggest names in the sport slept in those rooms.
Yes,
Jill Villeneuve and the Arctic Cat team, all of the major teams, all of the big name drivers back then stayed at that motel.
Yes.
So it's just there's a lot of history there.
Yes.
You talked about the amount of volunteers. I was at a race 4 weeks ago at Eganville, Ontario, just outside of Ottawa, and they used to have 300 members in their club. Now they're down to 37.
Yeah,
everybody's got older, and they're struggling to get volunteers to help them.
That's how it is. Yeah,
that's a sad state.
And I told L. Andre Dupree, who put that race or helped put the race on over in New Brunswick, you're going to find, that right out of the gate, they did a beautiful job on that race. But I told them, you're going to have to coddle your volunteers and maybe take, have a dinner for them and pass out some awards and things like that to keep them active, because that's what happened to us. We just lost our volunteer base, and
without it, you can't get these things done.
Yeah, they were gun ho the first couple of years with the Grand Prix, and then it just dropped off.
Sure.
Yeah. So
now, before we switch gears, Rob and Midge, any comments on any more comments on this image we're looking at before we move on? Or
that's history.
Yes.
Yeah, that's where it all happened, right there.
The golden age.
Yeah, the golden age.
And those stories those rooms could tell.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Well, some of those rooms, they were taking the engines off their race sleds and taking them in and rebuilding them on the floor and in the motel rooms.
At the Kawartha Cup one year, I took the whole snowmobile in. We put it on top of the bed.
Some of them did, yeah.
We rebuilt it, and then I got a bed bill for the sheets because the oil dripped on the sheets.
Yeah.
Gotta love it.
And the following year, they wouldn't let me rebook the room.
Did Rob see when Tom McLaughlin dropped the beer bottle in the hole behind the wall there, Mike? And that.
Oh, I don't know. Did you see that, Rob?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, I don't think they made the hole. I think they discovered the hole because there was a painting over it, a picture over it, and I think they. So I'm not going to accuse them of punching a hole in the wall. I think they just happened to find it behind that painting, and so that's where they put the beer bottles.
That's hilarious. Well, cool. So we've got comments aplenty coming in. Let's take a look at those real quick, and we've got plenty more video clips to look at. Let me just find my place here. Okay, here we go. Percy Mitchell says, "Let her rip, tater chip." Cool deal. He might have been talking about that image of your sled, Midge. Maybe that's what he was reacting to.
Oh, yeah.
And then Rich Shad says, "We did a vintage ride here today in New York at the Winona State Forest. Probably the last of the season, 30-plus sleds and lots of fun. Sounds like a good time."
Yeah.
Good deal, Rich. And Rich, if you have any images or video clips of that, I'd love to see them. I'll share them on the podcast for all of us to enjoy. Reese Fleury says, "Good evening to everyone. Nice to see you, Reese. He's our good friend." In fact, Rob has met
come on
Reese
sometime, isn't he?
Yes, absolutely. We're working on it. Yep. And Ben Thomas says, Winona Forest Recreation Association knocked it out of the park. And they're both associated with that show. Ben and Reese are associated with that. And here we go. James Whiteside says, "Paul has so much history under his belt. So cool." Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Rick White says, "I was told by Bud Knapp that J-Lo is pronounced Elo."
Elo. Yeah. We Americanize it and call it J-Lo.
Sure.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then my wonderful girlfriend Carlene is in the house saying, "Great podcast to all of you. We appreciate that. Thank you for viewing." She's very supportive of this podcast, by the way. Got to give her credit for that.
Why can't she host when you're sick then?
I know, huh? I got to talk to her. Carmen Russo says, "Hello to everyone. Nice to see you." Jeffrey Patton says, "My first sled was a new 69 Panther, $680. Nice.
Yeah.
We had a 69 Panther back in the day. Those were tanks.
Yeah.
Oh, and our good friend James Spranger is in the house. Good evening, fellows, from Wausau, Wisconsin. Nice to see you, James. He was on the podcast a few weeks ago. And his twin brother, John Spranger Jr., says, "Midge, I work at our Ford garage for 44 years. He was a transmission and diesel tech. He was wondering what you were doing at your Ford garage."
Yeah, I was a tech.
Nice.
Yeah. Later on, of course, the kids coming in were more computer savvy. They just got out of college and stuff. So they basically gave them the high tech stuff, and I stuck with brakes and tune-ups and exhaust systems and things like that, oil changes, and that's, the old guy stuff.
Sure. And then we've got Here we go. Alan Gove says it's too bad the younger generation aren't stepping up to the plate nowadays, not just for the Grand Prix, but even grooming, working on trails. Maybe if the older generation stopped working on the trails and let things go, they might wake up and see. We only hope.
I don't know.
And then, Rick White says, I have footage of racing here in Morrisville, Vermont from 1969.
Yeah.
If you're able to share that with us, Rick, we would love to see that.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Oh, and Joe Zenert says, hi, guys. Joining in a little late. Not a problem at all. Glad to have you. However we can have you. We appreciate that. So let's see. Let's continue with the podcast. We're on item number 3. This is a 2-part interview that Midge and I did a few years ago with Tom McLaughlin. He was one of the early owners. I think his parents were the founders of the Lancaster Motel. Do I have that right, Midge?
Yeah, they built it actually. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Cool. So let's cue that up. And he's got a lot of stories about racing and about snowmobiling and just the whole experience that was happening in the early days. Let's take a look.
Your class on the oval, and you've done real good in the obstacle. He said, if you do good in that cross country, he said you can win this easy because there's nobody close to you in points that close.
Oh, by point, sure.
Because it went by points then. I left the fairgrounds, and when I come up across the meadow a little fast and landed in the middle of the road up here by Cranes, Butch and Johnny were standing there, and they said, because I had left in the second group,
Okay.
I had left everybody in the second group, and I was the first guy in the first group. You gone? He said you had. We knew you won because you'd gone by everybody. I get up by Zhang's, Zhang's farm, and the kids were standing out there, and that sled made the goddamn this big bang, and what the hell was that? And it wouldn't start. So I said, well, must have blew a plug. By the time I got the plug changed, enough guys went by me before I get in to the gate to get back to the finish line. I ended up 5th overall.
Oh, gee. And that's what it was a plug?
That was a plug. I changed the plug and it just blew. That was it.
I see them.
Great big pop.
Well,
And Fortin told me, Fortin would say when we were standing in the pit, he said, well, if you see me along the way, he said, stop and give me a ride. Coming up over the field up there by Carter Farm. And he had missed the bank where you go thinking he was off like this. I didn't stop to pick him up. I kept going.
Oh, jeez. Was he mad?
Huh?
When he got back home, was he mad?
Yeah, I don't remember.
Cool. So there's part 1. And Tom, wasn't Tom like 87 years old when he did that?
He's probably 89 now, close to 90 years old, Tom.
Good story.
Yeah. And he owned and managed the motel for quite a few years too, didn't he?
Yes, after his parents retired, he took the motel over and ran it for quite a number of years. And of course, he raced in the Grand Prix back when he was younger, and he also helped, on the Grand Prix for many, many years. So
very active in the whole thing.
Yeah, he was very active in all of that. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then I've got part 2 of that interview. Let's continue this.
Anyway, I was in the announcer's booth at the 2014 50th Grand Prix reunion, and they had the Elan class come out. And a gentleman quickly got in the lead, and he was driving that Elan about as smooth as anybody that I'd ever seen. A very, very smooth race. And the announcer, Neil Chapman, asked me who that was. And I said, that is Mr. Tom McLaughlin. And I says, Tom is 80 years old. Well, Neil on all the pieces. He said, seriously? He says, wait a minute. He says, I recognize that name. He says, didn't he run the motel? I says, he did. And I said, he used to race years ago. And I said, he did okay, but he never really did a lot of winning. But I said, apparently, he's matured. Because he was a half a lap ahead of the second place sled on a machine that Mark Belanger had built for him. And so he won that race at the 50th Grand Prix reunion. And he got his first Kilkenny Cup at 80 years old.
Wow.
And in 2015, Tom says, I'm going to go back. He says, I'm going to defend my title. And defend he did. Because at the end of the 2015 race, Tom got his second Kilkenny Cup.
Wow.
Well, the problem is in 2016, we rained out. And we had to cancel the event. And we had it again in 2017. And at 82 years old, 83,
80 what?
83, well,
Five.
this was it, let me see, you're 80 in 2014, 81 in 2015,
Yeah.
so he's been 83. At 83 years old, Tom McLaughlin gets another Kilkenny Cup.
That's
And
amazing.
although it wasn't 3 wins in a row, now in order to take that great big cup home back in the day, you had to win 3 years in a row to take that cup. Unfortunately, because of that rain out event, Tom doesn't have that big cup at home, but he's got 3 small ones.
Okay.
But I won 3 consecutive races.
Yes, he did. He did.
3
He
consecutive
did.
races.
He did. And he should have that big cup home with him.
I wouldn't take it home. I wouldn't take it home.
Well, the whole problem lies with Mr. Beattie here, because he pulled a vote one night at the Snowdrifters meeting that we vote that the Kilkenny Cup is no longer in play. So, yeah, we still have that cup. But,
Belongs to the Snowdrifters.
Yep.
Tom, you can't take that away from Tom McLaughlin
Yeah.
to win 3 cups in a row
That's amazing.
at 83 years old.
But I won 3 consecutive times.
3 consecutive times. Yes, he did. 3 consecutive wins. And his last win was in 83. And Tom, fortunately for the rest of them, decided to retire. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. You're going to have another race?
He may come out of retirement, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
When's the 60th?
Yeah, there we go.
When's that coming up?
Let's come
2024. 3 years away.
Yeah.
You never know.
You never know. It's around the corner.
Yeah. We can hold his cane for him, and he can do it.
Yeah.
I don't need the cane once I get on the
Once I get
sled.
on
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, that was something. And I would have hated to have been one of those young fellas following in Tom's dust, knowing I got trimmed by an 80-year-old person.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Yeah, I think I'd have loaded the sled and gone back home.
Yeah.
But Tom did a terrific job. Yeah. You can't imagine how smooth he was. It just
Posture. Is
his
that-
posture.
It was just.
He done that, and he set himself over just a little bit,
Yeah.
and go around that corner, and he'd straighten up.
Smooth, huh?
Smooth.
Wow. Just the right body English.
Track that smooth.
Yeah. No, he did a terrific job on that little twin eland. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Gotta love it. Any reactions to that, Rob? Or
Oh, you gotta love those stories. I'm glad you guys at least made a tape of it, where you got it for history.
definitely.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, a side
Yeah.
note that I have to add, Shane Beattie, who's here on the left, a lot of us are familiar with the NBR race team. I've heard of Spencer Beattie. Well, Shane is Spencer's father.
That's right.
Anything you want to add
Yeah.
to that, Midge, to help fill that story in? Or
Yeah, yeah. I mean, nobody in the history of the Kilkenny Cup ever won it 3 consecutive times.
Yeah.
An 83-year-old man did.
unbelievable.
Now, that's something for the record books.
That is impressive. And I like how you
Tom,
said,
and Tom got his name on the cup because in the 50th Grand Prix, they put all the winners' names on the side of that cup. That was the only year they did that, just for the 50th.
So Tom's
And,
name is on the cup.
so
I'm trying
Tom's
to find a good
name,
shot of Tom.
80-year-old Tom McLaughlin's name is on that Kilkenny Cup,
That's wonderful.
along with some of the most famous names in early racing.
Yes, for
Yeah.
sure. And also, I have to give another shout out to our friends at the Lancaster Motel. We were sitting in the lobby that day doing the
Yeah.
filming. They allowed us to come in there for these interviews in the lobby of the Lancaster Motel. So again, props and thank you to the
Yeah,
Lancaster
very much.
Motel. Gonna pop that logo one more time, show them some love. And if you guys are
Yeah.
viewing this, and if you're ever in the area, need a place to spend the night, or if you want to stop by the bar for a drink or the cigar lounge for a cigar, please
Stop in
stop
and
by
say
and
hi.
patronize them, and be sure to mention that you heard about them on these podcasts, because we do a lot to try to promote the motel on the podcast, because they do so much to support our
Right.
activities as far as trying to keep this history alive.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But,
They and it's too bad that these winters they let them down. They just aren't booking any rooms to snowmobilers because it's just no snow.
yeah, that's
So
terrible.
it's very unfortunate.
Yes, because in a good year, that the Lancaster Motel is hopping with trail riders.
Oh yeah, they'd
In
be
a good snow
they'd be
year.
back.
Yeah.
Well,
And
and Tom would tell you that before the Grand Prix came along, and before the snowmobile came along, that motel was dead in the wintertime.
Oh yeah, I bet.
Yeah, they made all their profits only in the summer, and in the winter they pretty much starved.
Sure. But
Yeah.
the popularity of the snowmobile changed all that for the motel.
That changed all that.
So snowmobiling was very good to the motel.
Yeah, it sure was.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Anything to add or any questions to any of this, Rob? Or
The snow conditions that hurt a lot of places, restaurant, motels.
Dealers,
yes.
snowmobile dealers.
Yeah.
Yeah, not good.
Definitely. And we've got more comments that have come in. Let's see. Here we go. Oh yes, Rick White says I'll send it, and that I think he's talking about that '69 Panther. No, the Morrisville footage, I think.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great to see that.
Yes, I would love to see that. Yeah, and thank you so much, Rick, for doing that. And if you have any questions about how to do that, message me privately, and I'll talk you through how to share a video file. Ben Thomas says we just spoke today about the need to reinvigorate the vintage hobby with young people. Yeah, excellent. That's really important, because that's the future of this hobby is in their hands.
Yeah,
and I think there are a lot of young people interested in it, but I'm sure nowhere near enough to keep it as viable as we'd like it to be.
Yeah, they don't even have any snowdrifter meetings anymore because nobody comes.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's too bad.
yeah.
Then Carmen Russo says, awesome story about Thomas's stories about snowmobiling in the early days. Kevin Towns says, snowmobile from then to now is amazing. How many improvements to build the sport to the top level it's at now? Yeah, for sure. And then John Spranger Jr. says, great stories of yesterday. So awesome. Well, thank you for that, John. We appreciate that. And John and his brother James were on the podcast just a few weeks ago, by the way. James Whiteside says, I'm going to petition the government and ask them to please stop hoarding the snow. That's what's going on. That's the problem. Someone's hoarding it.
Yeah.
Well, good. Yes, make that a strongly worded letter, James. That might give it some leverage. Definitely. Well, cool.
Mother Nature is having a war on winter.
Oh, she is. Unreal. Well, let's see. We are on item number 4, and this is a fun one because a year or two ago, Rob and Midge and I were going back and forth doing videos for each other about Amsoil. And rather than try to explain it all, let me just play it and we'll react to it on the other side. Let me cue this all up here because here it is right here.
All right, so we are back in Midge's kitchen. How you doing, Midge?
Good, Mike. Yeah, Rod gave me a gift here that Mike brought down to me, and we're about to unveil it. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, we were here just a few weeks ago doing some video, and we did a video message to Rob.
I did. I'm an Amsoil. I'm a believer in Amsoil, and I've got some. I run the racing oil in my Polaris vintage sled.
Yes.
So
And Rob enjoyed Midge's video message, so he sent this to us as a gift, and we're going to open it up right now and see what he sent to us.
Yeah.
Will you do the
All
honors?
right, let's do the honors here. There you go, Mike.
Cool.
It's like Christmas all over again.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Man, look at this.
Wow, look at that.
Oh, look at this. Wow. Wow.
Now there's two in there, one for each of us, and he said one's
Yeah,
an
that's
XL
cool.
and one's a medium. Is
All
medium
right.
a good size for you?
Yeah, I could probably take a small or a medium.
Oh, good.
And,
that's the medium right there, I think.
And this is the medium. And
You wanna
yours
put
is what?
XL.
Okay.
You say we put them on and
Yeah, let's try it.
show them the merchandise.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you so much to Rob.
Yeah. Yeah, Rob, thank you very much. And there we are.
Oh, yes, let's
Yeah.
get a shot of us.
Oh, hoodies.
Yeah, it's a hoodie.
Look at me, dear.
All right.
Nice.
Okay.
And we'll put them on.
Yeah. Oh, nice and warm.
Don't you wish you had that earlier?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, it fits you good.
Oh, yeah, it fits great.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah.
So now we're the Amsoil twins.
Here we
yes,
are.
you do.
Yeah, thanks an awful lot.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
amazing, Rob. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And got a hoodie.
Yeah, we'll get the hoods going.
Yeah, there it is.
And to anyone who's wondering what started all this is a video message that Midge did to Rob a little while back. I'm going to play that right now in editing.
Yeah, yeah.
So you can see what started all this. And
Yeah, yeah. When we were announcing the 2023 inductees for the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame, I knew Ron was an Amsoil dealer, and he always advertised the Amsoil products on Mike's podcast every Thursday night, and he's a mainstay of that event right now. And he and Mike have collaborated on the Amsoil products. So I thought I would throw a pitch his way, and I brought up my little gallon jug of racing oil, Amsoil racing oil, that I use in my Polaris sled. So yeah, and he appreciated it.
Yeah,
I
for
guess
sure.
so. Yeah, and it's a very nice gift, and I appreciate that.
For
So,
sure. Yeah, thank you so much, Rob.
Thank you very much.
Cool.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for what started this. We're going to run the video of what started this.
Yeah. Great. All right. This is for our friend Rob Hilditch, the Amsoil guy. See what I have here, Rob. And I think you have a photo of my sled last year at Pittsburgh, Mike. You can probably pop that up. I've got this 1975 Polaris clone PDC. It started out as a 77 TX 440, and I had Mark Belanger do the job, and Mike has got a photo of it, I believe, somewhere, and you can pop it on. And there's a photo of me sitting on that sled getting ready to head out in the Pittsburgh ride up north in Pittsburgh, New Hampshire this last March. It was 35, 40 degrees. We had 8 inches of wet, heavy snow. It snowed all day. And I was trying to break in this new engine. It was probably the worst conditions of trying to break in an engine is to take off on a 30-mile run at 50, 60 miles an hour, because that's the speed these guys were going up there, to break in this new engine. But it ran perfect all day long, and I believe a lot of it is probably due to this racing Amsoil that I use. It's you only use like I think I did a little more than 50 to 1. It says 50 to 1 here, but I think I did more like 40 to 1 to break in the engine. And so anyway, just a shout out to Rob that I'm using it as well. And there you have it. And happy trails when we get snow.
Yes. And if
Cool deal. Good times with Amsoil.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think of that, Rob? Was that fun for you?
Oh, much appreciated.
Yes, and we appreciate the hoodies too, by the way.
Yep.
In fact, since we all have hoodies handy, let's all hold them up at the same time. Let's see here.
Super warm in the winter, aren't they?
Yes, nice, heavy, thick. Yeah, gotta love it.
Yeah.
Gotta love it.
Got to get it right in the camera.
Yeah. One of these days, the three of us should show up at some event wearing these.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. Yeah, they're insulated. They're double thick,
Yes.
insulated. Yeah. And they have pockets. Well, that's where my gloves went.
Oh, in the pocket of the.
Yeah. Yeah, I was
Nice.
looking for them. Now I found them.
Nice.
So, yeah.
So yeah, thank you so much to Rob for those hoodies. That was awesome.
Yeah. Really appreciate
much
it. Rob.
appreciated for your promotion.
Sure. Sure. Well, cool.
Yeah.
Well, let's are there any comments on that before we move on, or?
That was a good video.
Yeah.
Cool deal. So we are on item number 5, and this is an interview I did last year, just after Christmas. So between Christmas and New Year's 2022, with the NBR racing team. They were having a send-off party at the Lancaster Motel. They were about to leave for Eagle River. So they had a send-off party for them at the Lancaster Motel, and I caught them for an interview at that party. But before we roll that footage, I think you had some comments, Midge, you wanted to make about NBR?
Yeah, well, because last year Lucas Nash took a third at the World Championship vintage race out there in Eagle River, and on his 440 Polaris. So this year he's running third because they shortened the race up, I think, to 10 laps rather than 20 laps, and he was running a close third behind Matt Gady, who was running second, and then Jamie Borges, I think his last name is, who's from Boonville. So an Easton driver won Eagle River this year in the vintage with a motor ski, and he won it going away. The guy just had the best sled that day going. But Lucas, I think, could have probably come in second this year had he not blown a belt on the backstretch. And like I just telling Rob, he's using Amsoil in his sled, and it wasn't the Amsoil that did in Lucas. It was his drive belt.
Sure.
So I don't know what brand drive belt they were using. But those racing drive belts, I think they're made out of Kevlar or something. They're very expensive. They're like $100, $150 a pop.
Wow.
And they put and they put a brand new, all those guys stick a brand new belt on before that big event. Because they just can't take any chances on a used belt. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's been 2 laps. They put a new belt on.
Yeah.
So this brand new belt let him down after 5 laps. And so yeah, the race, there's several Easton guys that are really doing well out there. This gentleman who races for Chet Hooper, who is an Easton guy. This is Chet's sled, Brandon Grenzinski. I think Grenzinski, his name is, and he's from Michigan, but he's racing Chet Hooper's Arctic Cat, and he came in 4th. And the Bridge Street racing with Rusty Scott, Bridge Street Garage Racing, he helped Spencer Landry on his sled, and Spencer Landry came in 7th. And Spencer's from Nashua, New Hampshire. So, yeah, the Eastern guys are really starting to show some stuff out there. So we're pretty proud of them.
Absolutely.
And we're really proud of Lucas. We're really proud of Lucas because Lucas, he raced for Chet. Chet got him on that Arctic Cat there for a year or two. Gave him his first ride out there. And then he went with Bridge Street Garage Racing for a couple of years with Rusty. And then he went on his own. He and Spencer Beattie went on their own. So, they've got some sponsors. But these kids are basically working on their own sleds, building their own engines. And to be at that level, that's the highest level that you can be, as a snowmobile racer, to start in the front row of the World Championship at Eagle River.
Yeah.
That's like, Indianapolis 500.
Yeah.
Or Daytona. That's the level that they're at.
Yeah, that's
so
good.
These young guys are just really doing very well, and we're so proud of them.
Yeah, and they're based right out of Lancaster.
Lucas, right out of Lancaster. He's got a place in Guildhall, but he calls home Lancaster.
Yeah,
and his family lives in Lancaster.
Sure,
but and Spencer does, and they're doing very well. And I if you guys watch that race, anybody if they've seen that race, Matt Gady coming out of number 4, I think on maybe the 6th or 7th lap, 7th or 8th lap, he slides sideways and he kind of bobbles a little bit on the inside, and he lost a lot of ground. And that motor ski just went. He was a half a lap ahead of him at the end of the race, and I do believe that had Lucas not blown that drive belt, and I watched Lucas, and he was running on the outside groove. That's the same groove that motor ski driver was running. And he was right behind Matt. And I believe when Matt slipped up right there, Lucas would have got him. But, hindsight's always 20/20.
Of course.
And, you never know. But as good as Lucas was going, he would have taken at least a third.
Yeah.
But I think he could have taken a second.
Sure.
But it's like they say, 5% luck, 95% hard work. And it wasn't the hard work that gave him up. It was that 5% luck.
Yes. Yeah. And I have to add, there's a reason why Midge is so interested in the Eastern racers, and that is because Midge is the founder of the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame. So he's very invested in the Eastern racers, past, present, and future.
Yeah. And these guys are our future.
Yes.
If one of these guys wins Eagle River,
that's a big deal.
That's
for us,
first step to get into the Hall of Fame.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
That's like I say, it's like winning Indianapolis.
Yes.
Or the Daytona 500.
Yes. Well, cool. Well, let's take a look at that interview with the NBR racing team. This was late December 2022, just before they headed off to Eagle River. Let's take a look. Now, we haven't talked about this sled yet. Is there anything on this? This is Lucas's sled.
That's the same sled that we had last year.
Yeah.
We got 2 on the phone. This one was built brand new last year. We didn't run this one too much. But we really changed quite a bit on this one this year. We kind of so we the Gents chassis, and we got some new power plants this year, so we're excited about those. And we've got another sled that's a down for this one. That's back at the garage that we tested yesterday. So
nice.
We're hoping to bring 2 out there and hopefully maybe have another driver for one of them. But if not, then we'll get the backup.
Nice. Now, are my eyes playing tricks on me, or is there neon light coming from under the? I like it. Let's go. Nice. Very cool.
Don't touch the eye somehow. That's right.
Yes.
Now, would that be on while you're racing, or is that just for here?
Yeah,
Nice.
last year at Eagle River, but yeah, the lights. Friday Night Thunder, it was on.
Nice. That's cool.
Really cool.
There's no mistaking you for anyone else when you get the lights
No,
on.
you can pick it out for good. Yeah, they're easy to follow.
That's
Only a
cool.
few of us out there that have them. So I think there's one other guy.
That's cool.
So yeah.
Yeah, we got a nice banner going on here.
Yeah, we got Klein, we got Polaris, we got Woody's and BP Race Fuel.
On top of our sponsors.
On top of our
local
sponsor.
sponsor.
Nice.
Woody's has good traction.
Yeah.
Action product. Getting us first before.
You want to talk that up as far as your experiences with Woody's and using their products? Or
We always had really good luck with these. I mean, that's all we really ran too. So we
Yeah, we buy the slim eliminators, competition studs,
Yeah.
peanuts, backers. Well, we buy the backers, the wall flat backers.
Yeah.
Good service, good quality. We go through a lot of them.
Yeah, we sharpen them, we put them back in, we miss them, they go flying. But no, Woody's has always been good.
good.
Good quality product.
So for someone who's considering traction products, either for trail or for race, you'd recommend them. Wonderful.
Yeah, and they've been good to us over the years. Definitely Eastern VP and Elliot Mason.
Yeah. Nice.
Can't thank Steve over there enough.
Good.
So, been good to us.
Same with the Klein gear.
Yeah.
Top-notch quality, warm. You're never going to be cold. When it's too warm. When it's 30 below, you need that. Last year it was 30 degrees, and I actually had my race suit. I didn't even wear it. I wore my Klein gear that I got for just around the pits and stuff. It was so cold, and that stuff kept me so warm. Negative 30, the wind was blowing. So Klein gear, top-notch quality, super warm, good stuff.
Nice. And durable in a racing situation.
Yep, wicked strong.
Takes the rough and tumble and all that. Nice.
Yep.
Well, cool.
Very good. Very good stuff.
Yeah. Was there anything we haven't covered? Anything anybody wants to talk about that we haven't?
Yeah, that was a good thing this year. Me and Lucas definitely did not think we were going to get the amount of sponsors that we did, but we were very grateful that everybody was very willing to be a part of it.
Yeah, that is a serious list. That shows some serious support from the community.
Yeah,
True, yeah.
We've plenty of room to grow.
Definitely. So if anyone is watching this,
Right, these two walking in right here, they're some of our sponsors right here.
here we go.
We got our TMS Diesel and Berlin City coming in.
Nice.
So,
In fact, I got a DVD for you.
oh, there you go.
There you go. That's what we're doing here tonight. I got for you guys too, but once we pause, I'll play Santa with the DVD.
Yeah, no, I appreciate your sponsorship.
Yeah, we were just talking about sponsors and thanking our sponsors this season. Wouldn't be possible without you guys. So, well, it's never enough, but a little bit helps. It does. It all adds up.
This is a great opportunity for a shameless plug if you want to talk it up. Do you want to talk up the business?
Best salesman right here in the Northeast.
Oh, we got. We're getting another one of these sponsors. Just
right there, the man in the black. That's Joe Dragono. Capital Left.
Hey, Joe.
How we
How you
doing?
doing? Nice to meet you. Let me give you a DVD.
Oh, we got a DVD.
There we go.
What am I, like the 100th? Oh, you're the second.
But the timing couldn't be more perfect because if you'd like to do a shameless plug for your business, the camera's right on you if you want to talk it up. No? Okay.
Just call anyway. Email preferably. Phone systems are down. Yeah.
Yeah, that is a serious list of sponsors. That's a show of support. That's not something you can fake, to get that kind of support.
That's draft.
Yeah. That was expensive. Just give one of those bullet hole stickers to put it.
Good times with the NBR race team in the lobby of the Lancaster Motel, and yet another shining example of all of the wonderful things the motel does to help support snowmobiling.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But any reactions to that, Rob, or questions about that, or?
That's nice to have that much sponsors and friends to be involved in stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was nice timing. The sponsors started walking in as we were doing that video. I think I kind of was shoving the camera in their face. Hey, shameless plug for your business. And they're like,
Yeah.
what? I think they kind of locked up a little, which I understand,
Yeah.
But it's still a chance to get them on camera, even if just, walk by. But
They're a great bunch of young fellas.
they sure are.
Yeah. Lucas and Spencer and Tucker Reynolds, and yeah, you can't ask for a nicer bunch.
Great bunch of guys. Absolutely.
In fact, where was it? What race did they have up there in Canada, Rob, before Valcourt?
Eganville.
I think it was at Eganville. It might have been Valcourt, but I think it was Eganville.
They did well.
When Sabrina came out on the track and her engine stalled, and she couldn't get it started. Now, Sabrina's no weak little lady. You know, she works out with weights, and she pumps iron all the time, all summer long to keep in shape for this type of racing. You have to be in shape to be able to race at this high a level. But sometimes if you have to hold a throttle and pull the starter cord at the same time, it takes a lot of strength on these racing sleds. And for whatever reason, she couldn't get the sled started. Guess who stepped over? Is racing against her, by the way. He's in the same class. Lucas Nast.
Wow. Goes
over and gets a sled started for his competitor, Sabrina.
That's sportsmanship right there.
Oh, no, that's Lucas Nast that we know.
Yes.
And Spencer Beattie would have done the same thing. That's how these guys are brought up.
Yes.
And I'll tell you, Lucas is really he's got the capabilities of winning that race out there.
Yeah, I think he's just
he will at some point win that race out there.
I believe it.
Yeah,
for sure. Now we've got comments that have come in. Let's take a look. James Whiteside says sweet. Joe Zenert says that. Pardon me. Oh, so sorry. Just get over the flu. Sorry, catch my breath here. Joe Zenert says that NE had a great showing at the championship. Jeffrey Patton says one of the best racers came from here in the East, Brad Hollings. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Pennsylvania.
Yes. John Spranger Jr. says, thank you to you guys for another great show. We appreciate that. And in fact, John Spranger is a good friend of mine. Let me pop an image of the screen on the screen. He and I hanging out about a year ago. Yeah. Great guy. And he and his brother were on the podcast here a couple of weeks ago, 3-4 weeks ago. But we've still got plenty to show you. So let's keep it moving. Let me see where we are. We're on item number 6. So this was that same evening as when I interviewed those guys at the NBR race team. At this point, everyone was in the bar, and there was music and everything, so it was hard for me to do interviews in there. So I came out in the lobby and just kind of did a little tour of the lobby and just a lot of things rather than try to explain it to you. Let me play it right here.
So while these guys are getting their glasses filled, I'll tell you some stories, as much as I can here, about the Lancaster Motel. Back in the 60s and 70s, they had the Lancaster Grand Prix just up the road, some of the earliest and biggest racing in New England, or Northern New England at least at the time. And the award ceremony for the Grand Prix every year would be right here in this room. The racers would race elbow to elbow every day on the track, and after they're finished racing, they'd come and drink elbow to elbow in that bar over there. And the award ceremony, where they'd hand out the trophies, was right here at this media bar. So get a look at that media bar. Now get a look at this image. This image was taken right at that media bar, and that is none other than Gilles Villeneuve himself, right here in this very room, right against that wall, receiving his trophy. And plenty other big names were here. Bob Eastman was here many times. They stayed at this motel. All the big name racers who would come for racing at the Grand Prix back in the day would stay here at the Lancaster Motel. And as lore has it, as legend has it, many times they would take the snowmobiles, or at least the snowmobile engines, right into the rooms and work on them through the night so they could be ready for the next day of racing. Just tons and tons of history here in Lancaster, New Hampshire. Snowmobile City, USA is what many people call this, the snowmobile capital of the world. Why do they call it that? The reason they call it that is the first Ski-Doo snowmobiles were imported into the U.S. right here in Lancaster. In fact, if it were light out, I'd take you outside, but right behind this building, on the other side, is the building where the first Ski-Doos were imported into the U.S. Now, the man we were talking to a few minutes ago, Paul Crane, he was the first American to ride a Ski-Doo snowmobile in the U.S. or Canada. He also was involved with importing them here to the U.S., and he set up most of the first dealers in the U.S. He set up some of the first Ski-Doo dealerships in the U.S. He also is the founder of the first snowmobile club in America, which is here in Lancaster, New Hampshire. That guy we were talking to a few minutes ago, Shane Beattie, he is the president of the first snowmobile club in America, right here in Lancaster, New Hampshire. So if you are interested in snowmobile history, want to snowmobile on some of those legacy trails, many of those trails still exist. The Snowdrifters, I think it's the Snowdrifters. Let me take a look here. Yeah, the Snowdrifters Snowmobile Club can set you up. They let you know what are those legacy trails. That can make that happen for you. Now, if that weren't enough, Crane's Snowmobile Museum is walking distance from this motel. So there's just so much to offer here in Lancaster at the Lancaster Motel if you're thinking about some eastern trail riding. We're right on the trail, right on US Corridor Trail 5. You can snowmobile right out your door. You have Crane's Snowmobile Museum just a walk down the street. It's by appointment only, so once you book your room here for snowmobile trail riding at the Lancaster Motel, your next call is to Crane's Snowmobile Museum to book a time to go in there to see the museum. There's over 100 sleds in there.
There we go. Yet again, the Lancaster Motel. They keep popping up in these videos, but there's a reason for that. They're just so, they're the epicenter of a lot of what we do. And we thank them for letting us film at their location and for hosting these parties, you know, for NBR racing and everything. They just do so much for snowmobiling, past, present, and future. Anything to add to that, Midge? Or?
Yeah, also, they're going to have a eclipse party.
Yes.
At the Lancaster Motel, because the eclipse is going to be coming right over the top of Coos County. In April?
Yes.
I can't remember the date right now.
I can remember, and I'll tell you why. It's on my birthday, April the 8th.
April the 8th.
Easy to remember.
They're booking rooms right now for the occasion, and it's going to be going right over the top of the motel, right over the top of everywhere in Coos County. And they're going to have an eclipse party. And they're going to have some guy speak about the difference between, in the bar, the difference between Scotch and bourbon.
Yes.
In the history of Scotch and bourbon, and how it's made, and like I say, what the differences are and everything. That's just one of the little things that they're going to have during this eclipse party. So if you want to book a room at the Lancaster Motel, and they'll probably have those special glasses for you so that you can view the eclipse and all that kind of stuff. So that's just a thought for anybody that's interested in that.
And I'm trying to find a graphic for that. This Snowmobile City USA Facebook page. A lot of you probably frequent that. This podcast airs there, but it's a page I do for the motel. Yeah, here's, I don't know if you can see what I'm clicking on. This is the graphic for that eclipse party. I'm sorry I can't make that any larger. But if you're curious about that, search on Facebook either for Snowmobile City USA or the Lancaster Motel. I work with their Facebook page as well. So yeah, do check them out. They're going to do a great experience for the eclipse.
Yeah.
But
sure.
Let me get back to where we were here. Oh, we got a comment that's come in, and okay, here we go. Our good friend David at Alaska Railroad says, "Good evening to Mike, Rob, and Midge, and members of the podcast. Thank you so much, and thank you for being part of this tonight. We appreciate it." And just got to get back to my place here. Now, this last video clip is about 25 minutes or so. It's actually several clips combined. It's an interview with between Shane Beattie and Midge Rosebrook talking about the Lancaster Grand Prix reunion they did back in, I think, was it 2016, Midge?
Yeah. For the 50th, it was in 2014. Yeah. So they talk it pretty. They do a deep dive on what it took to make that event happen, and then there's another video after that I'll leave as a surprise for you, but it's very much worth the wait. But that'll take us probably well past 9:30. So if it's getting close to bedtime or time for anyone to retire, Midge or Rob, if you want to leave, you're welcome to. If you want to stay to the end, you're more than welcome to. But it's going to be a good 20 or 25 minutes watching this next video clip. And yeah, any comments before we roll that clip? Or I kind of slipped my mind as to what it is. It's I can imagine what we've talked about there. Shane and I. Yeah.
Talking about the backstory of the whole thing, because you haven't seen this since you and I did that video. You've never seen this clip, actually.
No, I probably haven't.
We filmed it 3 years ago, and you've not seen it. This is the first time anyone's seen it, other than myself. But
Shane was one of the big players in the success of that.
yes, and he's the father of Spencer Beattie. And Mike Beattie, Shane's father, wasn't he one of the original organizers of the original Grand Prix back
he
in the
was
70s?
a early employee at Timberland Machines, and he was a charter member of the Snowdrifters along with Paul Crane. And he also helped on the very first snowmobile race, probably on the East Coast in 1962, when he was a junior chamber.
Yes.
And he was a member of the JCs. And Paul Crane and Bob Clark and Tom McLaughlin, all those guys were involved in some of the early races. So the history in the Beattie family, as associated with the Grand Prix, is as deep as you can go.
Yes.
Yeah, back is very big.
And if I understand correctly, Tom McLaughlin is the uncle of the Beatties.
Yes, it's
Aren't
true.
they related?
Yeah, Mike, Shane's dad married Tom's sister Sally.
Yes,
she was a McLaughlin. So yeah, it's
we're all related.
It's the history of the Beatties in the motel and the town of Lancaster and Timberland Machines it's all tied right together.
Those roots grow deep.
Oh, yeah, very deep.
Yes.
Yeah.
So before we roll this, Rob, any comments, questions, any thoughts before we roll this next clip? Or
that's a lot of history you guys told.
A lot of history, isn't it?
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Cool deal. Yeah, Lancaster. There's just so much there. It's
yeah.
I've got to. I don't know. I can't
get Rob to come down and visit sometime. Come on.
Yes.
Come on out.
Maybe for the induction ceremony in September.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're doing. Was it September 7th? I think.
Yeah. Yeah. At the museum.
Yeah. We do the annual induction ceremony. If you're available, Rob, for that, we'd love to see you.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It'd be great.
Mark the calendar.
Yeah.
And you can. And where would you stay, Mike?
Yes.
Lancaster Hotel.
That's right. Let me pop the graphic. I wish I had this closer at hand.
Yeah.
Gonna be quicker on the draw.
For that.
Yes. Well, cool. Yeah. Unless there's any other comments, I'm going to roll that footage. It's about a good 25 minutes or so, but it's a great interview, a great story about that Grand Prix reunion, and then there's a bonus video at the end of that. But yeah, we'll catch you guys on the other side, and
okay.
Yeah, let's get some popcorn and a cool drink here and settle in for a little video.
Dad and I had talked about that, and but yeah, he said, that's something we ought to do. And the week before the 50th reunion of the Grand Prix, Shane and I packed the Rialto Theater down here. They turned away about 50 or 60 people. They didn't dare let them in because of insurance reasons. Fire code. The fire code. The place held like 350 people, and they were standing up back. There were more than 300. There was probably 400 people in the place. And they had to turn them away. And Shane and I was up on stage. We had compiled a film. The Snowdrifters had compiled a film talking about the town and how it impacted, how snowmobiling impacted Lancaster. And we talked about the Grand Prix. Tom was on the film. And Mike Beattie, Shane's dad's on it. His mother's on it. There's about 14 people in this DVD. And we played it at the theater. And then Shane and I announced, that this coming weekend, we're going to have a 50th reunion of the Grand Prix. And we had, maybe close to 200 entries. Wow. And some of the New York sleds came out with their IFS stuff that's about 3 inches off the ice. Yeah. Shane and his crew worked from December until that weekend, just before that weekend, laying down ice on a flat track, 1/3 mile flat track on that big field across from the fairgrounds. And they laid down around 18 inches of ice. At the end of Sunday afternoon, in the last race, which was the big race of the weekend, the $1,500 to win Kilkenny Cup race, after that race was over, they took a measurement. There was 6 inches of ice left.
That's a lot of ice being shaved.
They chewed it up. And then we it was so successful, we decided to do another one in 2015. Shane was Grand Prix chairman then, Thank God for Shane, because
Let me tell my side. He touched on it a little bit, but there's still some stuff behind the scenes here.
well, we went up north.
We started on this endeavor. My father had taken ill, and in 2011, Mitch had sprung it all on him. And in 2012, Mitch came to visit my father at the house, and they were having a good old talk and all this about Midge's dream of the 50th. So, father was listening. Yeah, it's a great idea. Yeah. So Midge leaves. I'm still there, and father says, hey, he said, I probably won't be here, but he said, the boy's going to need some help. And I would expect that you will probably help him, won't you? I said, sure. I said, I'll do what I can. I'll do anything. Yeah. So we started in the fall of 2012, planning. And at that time, the Great North Woods snowmobile racing was going on, and that composed of Pittsburgh, Colebrook, Harrell.
Yeah.
3 clubs got together and put this snow racing on. It was a great fundraiser for them. So we started going to their races to educate ourselves.
Yeah.
Because
We took the Kilkenny Cup to show them. And
So we sat down with them, trying to convince them to have a race with us. Because we thought at first that that was what we wanted. So after what, 8 months of chasing back and forth, up north, meetings,
they finally came up with a price.
they came up with a price, and they were going to charge us an outrageous price to come down and do this. I said, oh geez, I'm not really sure about that. So along that, the president of the Snowdrifters was a guy by the name of Ken Bolins. So Ken had been involved, but he was itching to get more involved. So I don't know how I don't remember how he came up with.
He was on the net.
Yes, he was doing his surfing, he calls it,
Yeah.
on the net. And he come up with a guy by the name of Ed Stabs. So he calls him up. It's a conversation going on, tells him what we want to do. Ed is connected to Boonesville, New York, where they have a similar ice race years ago, which they had resurrected.
Yeah.
So Ed says,
They've
well,
been doing it for maybe 5 years.
3 or 5 years before we started.
Right.
And Ed says, sure. He said, I'd like to be a part of this. So in my offices, we're sitting there one night having a Grand Prix committee meeting. And Ken says, I'm going to call him up and put him right here on the speaker, and we're gonna see what this comes out. Okay. So he did.
Asked him a bunch of questions.
Asked him a bunch of questions. He said, yeah. He said, I'm game. Okay, how much would it cost us to have you come out and help us put this on? Because keep in mind, my biggest fear was nobody had run a snowmobile race in the town of Lancaster for a lot of years.
1977?
That's a long time.
So we didn't have the expertise of the sleds, pits, lining them up, getting them going, all of that stuff.
Those details, yeah.
Those fine details, we did not have that.
And this is another thing too. This is the Grand Prix we're talking about.
So that legacy to think about.
Yeah, and the last thing we don't want to do is cut corners and have a, as Tom would say, a barnyard race, right? Because this is the Grand Prix.
Yeah.
So we asked him, yeah, he said, it'll be $1,200. And he says, you give us 6 rooms and we'll be up.
You brought the whole entourage and
Everything.
and 180 to 200 sleds with
Yep.
it.
Wow.
And they all landed here.
And what an event.
And all honesty, that was the venue that we were looking for because they were ice racing sleds.
That's another thing too when we were talking with up north, because they raced on snow. That's what they did. They raced on snow. And you know, that's fine and dandy. That's good. But that's not what the Grand Prix is about. The Grand Prix is to showcase the best of the best.
Yeah.
You know, the last end of the Grand Prix, we had an IFS sled here with Jill Villeneuve, and cleaned up with it. And Lancaster was always the place where they brought their high-tech stuff to test them and everything. So we're not going to do a snow race. And to talk to the guys up north, they didn't want to do an ice race. They wanted us to build the ice track, but when it comes for their guys to race, they wanted us also to build a snow track. They wanted us to build a track within a track, because they wouldn't allow studs, they wouldn't allow carbines and all that stuff. And of course, they wanted their guys to race. So we were going to wind up building two different tracks. It was not feasible.
Yeah.
And so that kind of fell apart. You know, we wanted to showcase the best of the best, and in order to do that, you got to have an ice track. It's got to be ice. And I think Kevin Whiting had a radar gun.
Yeah.
And they had a couple of 800 chaparrals here, you know, the 72 IFS chaparrals. On that 3rd mile track on the backstretch, they clocked him at 96 miles an hour. So that's some racing.
But
That's a crazy speed.
That guy, they had exactly what you need when you're doing a race. They had everything set up. They had they knew exactly how to set up the classes, how to get them lined up. Everything went
Big bang board.
Nice.
And that's what I was looking for, because I knew I couldn't explain it to somebody off the street.
Yes, yeah.
You got to stand here and you got to just keep them going. You got to line them up. All of this, you know, because we just didn't have the experience.
Yeah, you're reinventing the wheel at that point.
Yeah. So it was funny how that all worked, because everything all of a sudden just started falling into place.
Yeah.
And I believe.
Well, it did and it didn't. Tell them about having to make snow.
Well, we always have to deal with Mother Nature. All right. So this whole deal, I had shut our company down and concentrated 100% on the Grand Prix. That for a month.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't fail.
Yeah.
I just could not fail. It was just one of them
It's
things.
too big.
The old fella upstairs was looking down on us.
So we hit some bad weather. Mother Nature wanted to warm up.
Yeah.
Well, we weren't getting the snow. We needed the snow to make elevated platform for the spectators to view the race.
Yeah.
So the thought was, you pick them up, be a lot safer, nice fence around it, and that's what we had planned to do. So started talking to a couple guys that make snow at the local ski areas. Well, the next thing I know, we got some snow guns.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So in they come with snow guns. We hitched it up to a fire hydrant. We got some compressors. We started making snow. So we were able to make enough snow and collect enough snow from businesses and out of fields to do what we needed to do.
I went by there. I was working at the Ford garage, and I went test driving, and I went up by there, and they had the snow guns going. Tyler, his son, was running the operation, and it was spitting out a little mist of snow, and he had a pile about like that. And I laughed. I said, "Come on!" I says, "They're going to make enough snow to put in a pickup, let alone a dump truck."
Yeah.
And I went back up test driving the next day. Mount McKinley.
Really?
Where that came from, I don't know. But they stayed all right, and up there, the boys making some snow.
They made a pile.
They made some snow.
Well, those guns ran for
24/7.
Yeah, for 16 days.
Wow.
And then the town manager comes to Shane, and he asked him if he intended on taking a shower that night. And Shane says, "Yeah."
Guess so.
Yeah.
He said, well, you may want to reduce the water because the water is starting to drop in town.
They ran out of water at the trailer park. The trailer park didn't have any water.
So we cut back to one gun, and everything, of course, came back up. But we were conscious of that we were taking that much, that we needed to, you know.
Right.
So, but yeah, no, Mother Nature played a big part in this. As it turned out, when the 50th was there, it was a perfect
day, perfect weather.
Weekend for that. I mean,
and we put that big tent up.
Yep. Yeah.
Shane says a couple of weeks before, a month before, I guess, the event, he says we're all set on a tent. We wanted to do a tent so we could have indoor functions like, you know, thing. He just wanted a tent.
Yeah.
You know, people could go in and get warm. Well, this outfit, and I won't mention them, Shane says we're all set on the tent. They said we could have the tent. Well, unbeknownst to Shane, I had gone down here to the people that put up the tent where the old diner used to be. So what, an 40 by 20?
40 by 120, wasn't it?
Was it 40 by
No,
100?
65 by 100.
Okay,
That's a
it
big
was
tent.
it was a three pole.
It was like a regular circus tent.
Like a circus tent.
It's Circus came to town, huh?
Oh, it was there.
I had gone down and I'd asked, because I'd seen that tent put up, you know, when they have their summer bazaar and stuff. And they put it up every year. So I'd gone down and I had asked them if there was any way that we could borrow their tent for the Grand Prix. And they said, yeah, not a problem. We'll even help you put it up if you let us have a little booth where we can sell our hats and gloves and mittens and stuff. Because they had a little clothing store there. I says, that is not a problem.
Yeah.
Not a problem. So that was sort of all set, but then Shane says, well, no, this other outfit, no, we're all set. They're going to let us have a tent. So a week before the Grand Prix, I go up and ask them if they can let us have the tent. And they says, oh, you ain't, no, we're not going to put that up in the wintertime. That'll crack. Oh, you can't have that tent. No. I says, well, I thought you guys said we could use it. No. I went to Plan B. They were more than happy because they had a booth up there to sell our little hats and mittens. They were more than happy to take that great big huge tent up there and help us put that thing up.
Nice.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. That was not easy.
Yeah, it's going to be a project to put that up.
When you drive stakes that long in solid ground, ice, and frozen ground, they had these hammer drills. We borrowed a bunch of hammer drills from Fit Fuel with bits about that long. They were driving them things down into the ground, and then we hammer those stakes in the ground, and oh my goodness sakes, what a job that was. But we did it. And I'll tell you something, when you drove up north, up near the fairgrounds, and you saw that big tent up there, you knew something was going on.
Yeah.
You knew it was going to be a function.
Something's going on, yeah.
And that's the type of, I was going to touch on, is the whole town was involved.
Yeah.
If you needed something, they would help you out. I mean, when we put that tent up, I guess we probably had, what, 30 people up there?
Oh, had to be.
Everybody, you know, we went around looking for help once we
40
realized.
Ford garage, you went
Yeah,
out.
once we realized we had bitten off a little bit more than we could chew, and people started showing up.
We had no idea how hard that would be to put up in the middle of winter.
Yeah. So, and it's just like the Rialto that Midge spoke about.
Yeah, they let us use it for nothing.
You know, the community was embracing us wicked. I mean,
it was unbelievable.
That's cool.
It's been a long time since I've seen the town so excited to have something happening like that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the churches did their chicken pot pies, all of that. I mean,
It was crazy. It was
you know,
unbelievable.
and Dom talks about back in the day with the motel, going back to St. Johnsbury, Littleton, Gorham. We experienced that same thing.
Yeah.
We were filling everything to Twin Mountain, Gorham, Littleton, and they even went to St. John.
Yeah.
Because we had hired a marketing person to help us, and she kept tabs on all of that, because we really wanted to be able to show that this, or know that this really helped the community, you know, how much it impacted it as far as...
Find a way to measure the...
Yes, how much it helped.
The impact,
The Friday before, Paul Crane had his first big snowmobile show, vintage snowmobile show. The Kilkenny Cup was there on display at the museum. And of course, it was Thursday, wasn't it, that we did the motel. Oh, and that 63 Skidoo, the original Grand Prix winner in 1964, that was fully restored, and they brought it in during the Lancaster Fair. Shane had it displayed on the sidewalk in front of the movie theater.
Oh, wow, nice.
Yeah, we had it there. We had it at the Mountain View at the ball.
Oh yeah, the Kilkenny Cup ball. We had a huge turnout.
We filled the place down.
We filled it. They were turning them away
we couldn't
there.
sell any more tickets.
Wow.
And it was absolutely unbelievably huge. And here's another little tidbit. On Saturday and Sunday in 1964, the dates were February 1st and 2nd. Exactly 50 years later, in 2014, the dates were February 1st and February 2nd.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. And after the event is all over with, I said, Shane, I says, man, I says, something special just went down. He says, Midge, it was magical.
Yeah.
It was. It was a great time.
Yeah.
And then Mitch talked about it continuing. We
Yeah.
did, and it was growing. It really was. But we were burning out people.
Yeah. 2016 rained out, unfortunately.
And unfortunately, we could not get enough volunteers
No.
to continue.
It's tough today to ask people to go up in the middle of the night that have jobs, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning to lay ice down when it's cold. We realize that it's tough.
But, you know,
if you want anything done worthwhile.
Yeah. But at the end of it, you know, we had the likes of Sabrina. Coming.
Yeah, we had some
you know, and
you don't get any bigger than that.
And it's growing.
It was growing.
It was growing.
Yeah. So, will it ever happen again? We don't know.
We don't know, but I will tell you, there is an extreme amount of interest.
Yeah.
I get phone calls every year.
Yeah.
From people that.
Well, on our Facebook page, I'm sure if you go there to the Hall of Fame page, occasionally some of those guys from New York will post a little blurb about, you know, boy, I wish you guys would bring back the Grand Prix. I'd be there in a heartbeat.
Wow, yeah.
You know.
I'll tell you this little tidbit. So we had partnered up with the Chamber of Commerce, of course, you know, and they were eager too to be a part of it.
Yeah.
So we were running a lot of I believe they call it Google Analytical stuff from our Facebook stuff.
Yeah.
So Beth calls from the Chamber of Commerce.
Okay. Sorry.
And she says, Shane, we got a problem. I said, what's that? She says, we're up to 69,000 people that are looking at this.
Interested in coming.
And I said, okay, that's a good thing, like that. Shane, where were we going to put all these people? I mean, like they were all like, I said, we'll worry about that when they all get here. Okay. But I said, I think we're going to be okay.
Yeah.
I just don't know what we should do. She said, just ignore it. That's a good thing. That's telling us that we're getting out to people.
Yeah, you get something in demand,
Yeah.
When it all shook it off, I guess we got somewhere between 4,000 and 5,000.
Yeah.
That's still impressive.
Yeah,
But,
it
for
really
the 2
was.
days.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it was growing. And I told Shane, you know, it'd be cool to have some heated grandstands like at Eagle River. You know? People, you know, the old people could go in there and like Tom.
Yeah. But I think we're a ways away from that.
Yeah, well,
we still got a little bit more growing to do.
You know, I had that little dream to start with.
Yeah.
You know.
So,
well.
But yeah, you know,
Yeah.
I'm a second generation snowdrifter. My 2 boys were very instrumental.
Yeah,
in
they were.
putting on the Grand Prix.
This is something I also, before this is over with, we want to thank the young fellows that were helping us out, and Shane's 2 boys, and Paul's grandson.
Yep.
And Sean Whiting.
Yep.
And who else was there?
We already mentioned Kenny. We can
Kenny
mention him
Bowles.
again.
Kenny Bowles, thank goodness for Kenny that he found Ed Stab.
Yep.
And thank God for Ed Stab that came to our rescue and turned this event into something that was extraordinary. Yeah, that's
The Kopp family, Mike.
the Kopp family,
Alex.
my family. I'm going to say that they're my family. I worked there for almost 30 years. I knew that dad. They all did business at my uncle's golf station.
Well, Kevin was a chairman.
Kevin was a chairman.
A chairman of the Grand Prix.
The Ford Garage was a big player in the success of the Grand Prix and the other Grand Prix that came along. Couldn't have done it without him. In fact, in the 2014, the 50th reunion race, the Kopp boys pulled a brand spanking new white 250 Super Duty pickup off the lot and took it to, I think, St. Johnsbury.
Lindenville,
Was
over
it
there,
Lindenville over there?
Sign
Yeah.
Depot.
Sign Depot. They took it over there and they had them put a big mural on the side of it of the Grand Prix,
Oh, wow.
just for the Grand Prix. And they gave it to me to drive.
Wow.
Yeah, they said you're going to need something to drive back and forth with. So I had a brand new pickup with graphics, beautiful graphics down both sides and across the tailgate, advertising the Grand Prix. And Kenny and I went, we took the pickup and we went to Littleton one day and
nice.
talked on the radio station. Yeah, we told about the Grand Prix on the radio station. And it was
And not only that, but speaking of that, with the media and all of that, the Chronicle.
the Chronicle came up in
And-
2017, wasn't it?
wasn't it?
2015.
Monday morning,
The second year,
to the lobby.
Yeah.
We'll just take
Chronicle came.
Yeah.
From Massachusetts.
No, from, well,
WMUR.
Oh, yeah,
WMUR,
yeah.
the local New
And
Hampshire station.
They go
Gotcha.
all over the state on these.
And they videoed the whole thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
And they had it on Chronicle.
That's cool.
Oh, yeah, we were hitting a big time, Shane.
Yeah. It was pretty neat.
It was pretty cool.
It was a pretty fun time.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Dalton Mountain had their tent up there selling sleds. the Polaris dealership had their tent up there selling sleds, and the Ford garage had vehicles there. There was probably 3 or 4 vendors there selling all kinds of food, and Shane had about 50 outhouses setting up there.
Well,
I wanted to make sure that
Everybody, well, it's 69,000 people coming.
yeah, you need.
So, yeah, it was great. Oh, and at the very end, Bruce Dunham gave us his helmet.
Wow.
The great Bruce Dunham.
Yeah.
Says Dunham across the helmet. He gave me the helmet. Said, Midge, he says, you guys should have this. And I go up on top of the spectator platform, and Shane was down on the track. And I held up the helmet like that. I said, Shane, we did it.
Nice.
Yep.
That's cool.
It was great.
So, yeah.
That's cool.
In that cup
When he was a baby.
when I was a baby.
Really?
Oh yeah.
That would be cool to
That's
see.
how connected I am with that.
Yeah.
How connected he is.
They give you a bath in it.
You could have.
I could have, but I don't think so. But yeah, and it made the paper.
It did.
Yeah,
It
they
made
got
the
a big
paper.
picture there in paper.
Wow.
Future Grand Prix chairman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a lot smaller then.
Real look at. Yeah. Yeah. But, oh, boy. That's, that whole time is a sweet memory.
Yeah.
Never lose it.
No, and that's why it's so important to document this.
Yeah, yeah.
Because, you know, I was so surprised when we were talking about the Grand Prix, putting it on, and going and doing it,
Yeah.
and people didn't have any idea what you were doing.
No, no,
They had no idea what you were doing.
no, no.
And then when they got there, they said, wow, this is what that is? You know, they
Yeah.
had never seen an ice sled.
No, I know. Well, you know, you've seen them. They stand out high off the ground.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But you just kind of took that for granted, you know, this is what Lancaster was, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's when I realized, too, earlier in it, that we just don't have the people here left to put that on.
No, no.
Because you know how
That time was
you can
lost.
explain it all you want, but when the time comes and they're,
Yeah.
you know, they just,
Well, back then too, first thing, snowmobile was brand new.
Yeah.
And
There's all
everybody
kinds of
had
excitement
one.
around it.
Everybody either had one or two. Most places had two snowmobiles.
Yeah.
And so the enthusiasm was a fever pitch.
Yeah.
So to find somebody to help put on a snowmobile race at that time,
They're
you
kind
know,
of running.
you basically had to turn them away. There was too many.
well, yeah, everybody, and that's why you see that 15,000
Yeah,
people.
yeah,
I mean, it was just like, ooh, we
yeah.
gotta go.
It was a brand new, exciting sport.
Yeah.
So hello everyone, this is Mike. I'm here in Lancaster, New Hampshire at the Lancaster Motel. Today is December 31st, 2022. Yes, New Year's Eve. If you watched the live podcast last night, Friday, December 30th, we were here for the NBR Racing Party. That's the NAST Beattie Racing Team. They're a team based here out of Lancaster, New Hampshire, and they are going to be heading out to Eagle River, Wisconsin to see if they can do a little damage out there. And they had a send-off party last night. We all had an amazing time. It was really, really fun here at the Lancaster Motel. There's a lot of snowmobiling history made at the Lancaster Motel. Back in the 60s and 70s, all of the big name racers, teams, and all their support people used to stay at the Lancaster Motel. There are stories, legends, lore, whatever you want to call it, of how they would take the sleds sometimes or just the engine into the room to rebuild overnight. And legendary racers like Gilles Villeneuve and Bob Eastman stayed here numerous times. There's images in the motel of Gilles Villeneuve getting an award because after the Lancaster Grand Prix they would have the award ceremony and give out the trophies right there in the lobby of the Lancaster Motel. And there's a bar in there as well. They used to race elbow to elbow during the day and drink elbow to elbow after the races at night right here in the bar of the Lancaster Motel. So a lot of history associated with the Lancaster Motel as it pertains to snowmobiling. It's also a wonderful destination for eastern trail riding. Now, sadly, we've gotten some warm weather here and we're losing all our snow. All we've got left now is snowbanks, but that's temporary. It's 50 degrees as I stand here, and it has been the last 2 or 3 days. But it's just a matter of time before we get a good dump. And I was talking to the trail master of the Snowdrifters Snowmobile Club, which incidentally is the first snowmobile club in America. Right here in Lancaster, New Hampshire. And they still have a lot of those legacy trails that you can ride today. I was talking to him last night, and he runs the groomer and he's in charge of all of the trails and everything, and he said as soon as we get some snow, they're going to be out there grooming as soon as they can, and the trails will be in real nice shape and ready for use. And this motel, the Lancaster Motel, is right on Corridor Trail. I can't talk. Corridor Trail 5. You can snowmobile right from your door. We're at the front part of the motel, but the trail goes through the back side of the motel, and you can park back there and have your trailers and pull right up to your door. Now we're going to walk around the side of the motel here. I've got a few things to show you. There's a lot of history, as I said, associated with the motel. In fact, if you were to walk down here about a block or two that way, Crane's Snowmobile Museum is over there. There's over 100 sleds in there. It is by appointment only, so if you book a room here at the Lancaster Motel for some snowmobile riding, as soon as you hang up the phone from booking that, you want to call Crane's Snowmobile Museum and book a time to go in there and check out all the sleds. It will be worth it. Now, we're going to show you some more history here just around the corner. But not too long ago, they commissioned an artist to paint a mural on the side of the building, and we're going to check that out. And this mural talks about all sort of different things related to Lancaster's history. And I don't know everything about Lancaster's history because I'm not from here. I grew up about an hour from here. But what I do know about Lancaster's history is this, right here. Much of American snowmobiling as we know it started right here in Lancaster, New Hampshire. And I'm going to tell you about that in just a moment. But let's walk down, look at the rest of this beautiful mural here. And at the end of the mural, I have a story for you. If you have not heard this story yet, it's worth sticking around for. If you enjoy snowmobiles and snowmobiling history, and if you are an enthusiast of the Ski-Doo brand, I have got a story for you. So do not go anywhere. We're just checking out this mural here on the side of the Lancaster Motel. Nice little tribute to Lancaster. Now at the back of the Lancaster Motel's property, you see this great Northwoods Welcome Center. The building that used to be on this location is no longer there, but this is the site of where the first Ski-Doo snowmobiles were imported into the United States. Ski-Doo, as it exists in the USA, started right here, literally at the back of the Lancaster Motel. This is where the first Ski-Doos were imported. It was people from Lancaster like Bob Bottoms and Paul Crane that set up the first Ski-Doo dealerships in the US and all through the East. By the way, this is where this corridor Trail 5 right here goes right through the back. But this is the property. As I said, this is a new building, new-ish building. The building that existed when they were importing Ski-Doos into the US in the 60s, late 50s into the 60s and through the 70s, was right here on this very spot. This is, if you're a snowmobile enthusiast and if you're an enthusiast of the Ski-Doo brand, this is hallowed ground. Now, it wasn't long before they outgrew this location and they bought a bigger warehouse on the other side of town to accommodate, I think at its peak, up to 10,000 sleds a year they were processing through that warehouse and shipping out to dealers. I don't know, New England, the East, I don't know if it included New York, but it all started for Ski-Doo in America right here. And we're walking around the backside of the Lancaster Motel, and this is where the trail goes through. And they've got places here where you can park your trailer and your sleds. And yeah, this is set up for snowmobiling. And it's in the heart of snowmobile country. And when it comes to a town with snowmobile history, it's hard to find something with more history associated with it than the Lancaster Motel, the historic Lancaster Motel. And they have packages you can rent, by the night, by the weekend, a few days during the week, a whole week, whatever you like. But they have a special package. This isn't for everyone, but for the right person, this is a wonderful package. You can rent the room by the month or by the season. You tow your sleds up and all your gear, tow that all up here once and leave it here for either a month or for the season. And now you just go back and forth with your car or truck or whatever, and you're not having to tow every single time. So that's not for everyone. But for the right person, that is a really nice situation. This can be your camp in the North Country or your home away from home. You tow your sleds up once, leave them here, and all your gear, your helmets, your clothing, the whole thing, just leave it here in your room at the Lancaster Motel, and just come up whenever you like, weekends or a week at a time, whatever it is your schedule allows. And well, take a look at this mural one more time, and we'll go back around the front. And as I said, the Lancaster Motel is right on Corridor Trail 5, right here in Lancaster, New Hampshire, right on the trail. And there's so much history here in Lancaster and associated with the Lancaster Motel. If you're just joining us, the first Ski-Doos were imported into the U.S. where that building stands. That building did not exist there at the time. There was a different building. But the building that was there back in the day, in the late 50s, early 60s, that's where the first Ski-Doo snowmobiles were imported into the U.S. And Paul Crane and Bob Bottoms and probably a couple of other people set up dealerships, Ski-Doo dealerships all across the Northeast. I'm fuzzy on a lot of those details as far as the Northeast or New England or exactly what that geographic footprint would have looked like exactly, but you get the idea. Right here on Main Street in Lancaster, and we're just about a block and a half to 2 blocks away from Crane's Snowmobile Museum. So what a lot of people who enjoy snowmobile history like to do is they book a room for some trail riding right here at the historic Lancaster Motel. Once they hang up the phone from booking the room, they then call Crane's Snowmobile Museum because that's available by appointment only. But then you call to book your appointment to check out Crane's Snowmobile Museum, which is just a block and a half, 2 blocks away from the motel. And he's got over 100 sleds in there. It's a 50 by 100 foot building, and he's got over 100 snowmobiles in there. Historic snowmobiles, racing snowmobiles, got a little bit of everything in there. He's got what I think is don't quote me on this, I'm a little fuzzy, but I think it's a Model T car with some tracks on the back and skis on the front, almost like you see in that Christmas special, Santa Claus is Coming to Town. He's got one of those in there, and he's got sleds he's got some old rear engine sleds and stuff from the 60s and 70s and a little bit of the 80s. The racing sleds, consumer sleds, just a little bit of everything. So I thank you for viewing, and if you're thinking about some Eastern trail riding, the Lancaster Motel is worth serious consideration. And as I said, you know, it's 50 degrees here, we're getting a warm stretch, we're losing all our snow, but that is temporary. Oh, we got that with snowbanks. So you want to call ahead too and ask about the snow conditions, the trail conditions. There's also the Snow Drifters Snowmobile Club. They can set you straight too as far as conditions. But if conditions are a go, this is a great place in the East to combine some great trail riding on some legacy trails, some of the first snowmobile trails that existed in America. Like I said, this is the first snowmobile club in America was founded here in Lancaster, and you can still ride some of those legacy trails. Of course, they're maintained to a much higher standard today, but it's where it all began, where trail riding began. And the first Ski-Doos were imported here. We've got Crane's Snowmobile Museum. It's hard to find an Eastern trail riding destination that has more history associated with it than here in Lancaster, New Hampshire, at the Lancaster Motel. I know I'm repeating myself, but I do that in case people are just joining us. But yeah, for anyone who's watching this, thank you so much for viewing. Please consider our good friends, our dear friends at the Lancaster Motel for some riding, or any other time of year that you happen to be in the area. We're on the main street here. There's all sort of restaurants and shopping and movies, banks, stores, whatever you need is a short walk away. I don't know, it's a great place. That's all I can tell you. Thank you for considering. Happy New Year, and we'll catch you on the other side.
So there we go. Hope you had enough popcorn to last you through that whole segment there.
Mother Nature didn't get the memo.
No, unfortunately, that's miserable. That's
for the snow.
Yeah, but sooner or later we will get a good winter, and that will be a destination. And hopefully, all of my talking about the motel over these years will pay off in a big way once we get a big dump of snow.
Yeah.
And we've got more comments coming in. James Whiteside says, "Great show, guys. Thank you. We appreciate that." And Rob, any reactions to what we've been looking at, or comments, questions?
I think it's one of the better shows we did. Lots of history. Wow, you could never find that anywhere.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
Lancaster has a truly unique combination of things to offer for snowmobilers, especially if you're interested in the history of it. But, go ahead, Midge.
Well, because 2016 was our 50th, and this year would have been our 60th. But unfortunately, even if we wanted to have a race, we wouldn't have had enough cold weather to build an ice track. So, yeah,
that's too bad.
Just people come up into the North Country, for to see a little snow, and it's just not a good deal.
No. Hopefully the trend will start reversing here before long.
Hope. Yeah, let's hope.
Get a few good winters and make all the snowmobilers happy.
I can remember it was 79 and 80. It was just like this. We didn't have any snow. That was when Dick, my Uncle Dick, bowed out of the Polaris business. he said if we can't get snow, then we can't sell snowmobiles. So
Sure.
It's happened. It's happened before. So
yeah, and it probably didn't take many soft seasons to put someone right out of the business. I know in Pittsburgh, New Hampshire, they had a few soft seasons, and some of those dealers went out of business.
Yeah. It happens. In this week's Democrat, they have a backward glance. 400 years ago, it said that the season is way ahead of last year, and there's very little snow left. So that was 100 years ago in 1924.
Wow.
So it does happen.
It does. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm just looking on the map. Whereabouts you guys located? You guys are only about an hour and a half from Vancouver, Quebec.
Yeah, it's not that far.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the guy that used to bring the first skidoos down used to go up in a 1957 Chevrolet 6-wheel tractor with a trailer, a flatbed trailer behind, a single axle trailer. And that's what he used to bring the skidoos and Bombardier J5 and Muskeg parts back with. So he would go up very early in the morning and pick up the parts and come back in one day.
Wow. Up and back in one day.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, yeah, with a 1957 Chevrolet truck. So,
nice.
Yeah.
Well, cool. It's hard to believe we've been at this for almost 2 hours. It is time to wind it down. Any closing thoughts? Any final thoughts?
That was fun, Mike. And if it wasn't for you, with the expertise to do these podcasts, and this kind of stuff, people wouldn't realize. They wouldn't hear about it. So,
well, I think if it wasn't for all your knowledge, I don't think we'd be able to do it, Mitch.
It's true.
Well, I just happened to be at the right place at the right time, I guess.
Yeah, it is great that Midge and I found each other, because between his knowledge of the history and my enthusiasm for doing these kind of podcasts, it's been a wonderful collaboration.
How did you find out about the Hall of Fame? Because I remember we did the first one in 2017, and then this guy by the name of Mike LaPIERRE showed up in 2018 with a little camera and wanted to know if he could video it and wanted to know if he could do some interviews. I said, by all means.
Yeah.
And, so how'd you find out about it way up there in Derby Line?
I think the first vintage snowmobile show I came to was the Crane show, I think in 2016 or 17.
Okay.
And then I really enjoyed it. And then I don't know if I was in touch with you or Paul, but then I came to the museum one day and you and Paul and I did some video. And then from that, we stayed in touch. And as things would come up, events, shows that Paul was doing, or the Hall of Fame, we'd be in touch about that. And as we get to know each other more and more, the whole thing kind of grew. And then as we realized how much we had to offer each other.
Right.
That just grew. And of course, we've become really good friends too over those years too, which is wonderful.
Absolutely. Yeah. And if people don't realize how much Mike does for the Hall of Fame by burning DVDs for us that we send out to all of the inductees, and he does so much for free. Just in mail stuff out for us, and it's all pro bono, and
it's a worthy cause.
Yeah, so it's a labor of love, I guess you'd call it. We just love the sport, and
yes,
I love the people that are in the sport, and
it's a wonderful community.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
And also, I have to pay a compliment to Rob. He and I stumbled onto each other, I'm going to say 2.5 to 3 years ago. And first, he was just sharing a video clip here and there. And of course, as we got to know each other, and same sort of thing like with you and I in the Hall of Fame, the more we get to know each other, the more involved he got with the podcast. And I couldn't do without him now. He's become a great friend, and he brings a lot to the podcast. And it's
all for the love of snowmobiling.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, and I think it's safe to say there's across this screen right now, there's 3 very passionate people for vintage snowmobiles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Mike and I even did a muscle car podcast or DVD.
Yes,
and
yes.
We interviewed Don Call.
That's right.
With his Hemi Plymouth.
Yes.
So, well, you know, it's we bounced into another whole realm. But
yes.
basically, we stick with the snowmobile.
Yes, and in many ways,
call yourself a motorhead.
Yes.
yeah.
It's the big umbrella for all of it. Yeah.
Pretty much.
For sure. And I like to think we're all just getting started. I think we're just getting some traction here. I think
we're just getting our stride.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And
I'll be 73 next month, so I just I don't know how much striding I'm going to be able to do. You know, but
we'll get in as much as we can.
We're getting in as much as we can.
Yeah.
Well, if Tom McLaughlin can win the Grand Prix 3 times in a row at 83.
Sure.
There's hope for us, I guess.
There's hope. Yes. Yeah. Oh, and we get a nice compliment here from David at Alaska Railroad. He says, "Midge is right, Mike. Thank you. You are a legend." Well, thank you. That's very humbling, Mike. And I have to say the same for you guys as well. For Rob and Midge, you guys are as well. And I have to quote Ringo Starr. I get by with a little help from my friends.
Help from my friends. Yeah,
that's right.
I think it's true. We all have something to offer each other in the viewing public, and
yeah, and I think the sum is greater than the parts, because the Beatles are actually a great analogy, because each of them were great musicians on their own, but none of what they did together was so much bigger than what any of them did on their own. They did great solo stuff, but nothing that approached like what they did together. The synergy was just took it to a whole other level.
Oh yeah.
And we've got about 3 minutes left before we get, because we've got a 2-hour limit with this interface I use, and we'll get shut down just like Cinderella at midnight. But we've got a few quick comments I want to get in here. James Whiteside says, "Attaboy." Well, thank you so much. Rich Shad says, "Good evening, guys. Great show tonight. Thank you so much." David from Alaska Railroad says, "Snowmobiles are in my blood for sure." Awesome. Well, you're in the right place.
Yeah.
We're all in the right place.
Yeah.
And Todd McMillan says, "Hi, Mike. Just turned on to the show. Love the stories." Well, we appreciate that.
Thank you.
Well, cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, before we get shut down like Cinderella at midnight here, I think we'll close it out. But yeah, thank you, Rob and Midge and all the viewers. This is just a wonderful time, wonderful experience.
Yeah.
It's great doing it with you, Mike.
Yeah.
Likewise.
Good to see you again, Midge.
Yeah, good to see you, Rob. And thanks again for this.
You're welcome.
I'll put you full screen.
There it is.
Gotta love it.
Glad you appreciate it.
Good night, guys.
All right, guys. Good night. Take it easy.